We are now back with a special guest, the legendary Washington Post journalist for 50 years. Bob Woodward has 2 Pulitzer Prizes to his name, 10 books about presidents ranging from Richard Nixon, the Watergate scandal we all know, all the way up to Trump and Biden. He has now released 8 hours of journalistic audio drawing on his 20 Trump interviews, where we hear more from the former president himself, sometimes behind closed doors, in the midst of what we know now were quite controversial days of his presidency as it came to its one-term ending. There's the week after the murder of George Floyd. There's the clashes over what to do about policing in America. There was the mayhem for that photo op across the street from the White House. Indeed, it was just days later when Bob Woodward asked then-President Trump this.
I mean, we share one thing in common. We're white, privileged, my father was a lawyer and a judge in Illinois, and we know what your dad did. And do you have any sense that that privilege has isolated and put you in a cave to a certain extent, as it put me and I think lots of white privileged people in a cave, and that we have to work our way out of it to understand the anger and the pain particularly black people feel in this country?
You really drank the Kool-Aid, didn't you? Listen to you. Wow. No, I don't feel that at all.
What comes through that you think is important as you listen to then-President Trump in some of these tapes and audio that now is new to the public?
Well, first of all, it shows that he really put the presidency in moral freefall. The tape you just played here, I'm just asking the obvious question. There's white privilege. Trump represents it. I represent it, that we've got to understand the pain and anger of others. But he just comes back, oh, you drank the Kool-Aid. You drank the Kool-Aid. I mean, what an insulting statement to me and to black people and people who want some sort of engagement on racial justice.
Yeah, as you say, it's
Excuse me.
It's also, sure, bless you. It's also striking because there is a candor there. You know, everyone can be a performer. He's not the only politician to do that, but you have a little bit of that candid back and forth at a time when it was so raw. Because you have so much new stuff, I'm just going to endeavor to go through some of it with you. I want to play another part for your comments and thoughts. One question he didn't comment on that was playing out here, this was just months before the election.
Well, we're going into the election. Everyone keeps asking, suppose it's a close election and it's contested. What are you going to do? Everyone says Trump is going to stay in the White House if it's contested. Have you?
Well, I don't want to even comment on that.
Sure.
I don't want to comment on that at this time. Hey, Bob, I got all these people. I'll talk to you later on tonight because I have to go because of the...
Jumps right off the phone there, and yet he's known to be voluble and comment on a lot. What do you think of that?
Well, that is the one thing in 8 hours, 600 questions I asked him. That was the one time he said, I don't want to comment. And I fault myself for not following up on that. Obviously, I was talking to people who said they're developing a plan, or Trump is thinking about not leaving the White House, or claiming that he won no matter what happened, whatever the evidence is. And so my fault, but there is a foreshadowing of what happened and his completely unsupported claim that the election was stolen from him. Bob Costa and I, in our book Peril, were able to investigate that and had all these memos that Rudy Giuliani, Trump's lawyer, sent to Lindsey Graham when he was chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee. And Graham had his chief counsel investigate and found zero evidence, and Costa and I were able to go through that. In fact, there is no evidence. And Lindsey Graham went to the floor of the Senate and said, count me out. he was not going to support Trump on this unsupported claim.
Yeah, and that goes to something that is really a tension right now at this moment as we head into the midterms. It's something your work has explored, which is whether we can remain a nation bound by the rule of law with even the imperfections that exist, or whether we descend into something else. And it's striking that Trump, who's been known to echo and sometimes plagiarize aspects of past campaigns. He's certainly got the message about law and order. Many people argue he was not a uniformly egalitarian commander-in-chief in that sense of dealing equally with everyone. But here's an exchange about law and order.
Did somebody help you?
Yeah, I get people, they come up with ideas, but the ideas are mine, Bob. Mine.
And
Want
then,
to know something? Everything's mine.
What's going on there?
Well, too much. I mean, there he is saying in that you hear it, and again, this is the power of audio, you know, kind of confidentially. You want to know? Everything is mine. I have never heard anybody in the presidency even talk about that and think that somehow there is ownership in this. And the tragedy in all of this, when you go through all these audio tapes and the discovery, how he covered up the warning he got in January about the virus coming, Trump does and did not, this is 9 months when he's in office, when I'm having these conversations with him, didn't understand the presidency and the obligations to the people. You have to, this isn't about yourself. But you see, when he says, everything is mine, it kind of echoes this idea of the presidency is his. And we now even see him claiming that he won when there's no evidence to support that.
Yeah, and it's so interesting. You put it very frankly, Bob. That's what separates a kingdom or any corrupt kleptocracy from a civilized democracy, that there is an understanding that it's the people's power, it's the people's money and taxes, it's the people's courage in war that creates the state. And the state is not the people who happen to come in and out of running it. And it's something that I guess gets lost with Trump because we all know how strong people feel about him. But put aside his so-called ideology or policies that he's associated with, who he put on the court, for example, or those things, that sort of corruption seems to be deep-seated for him, Bob. And my question for you is, do you see that then playing out in his approach to classified documents or these other issues where he seems to think, no, it's mine, because he doesn't recognize the validity of the state in a way?
Well, that's very well put. I mean, he does not. There is government, and he's president, and he's got all this power. I mean, there's concentration of power in the government that someday, as a country, a concentration of power in the presidency that someday we're going to have a better understanding of and do something about it, not change the Constitution. The president's still the chief executive. But we need to know when somebody like Trump comes in and just the sweeping disregard for other people, other ideas. It's not just everything is mine. In the very sensitive negotiations with North Korean thuggish leader Kim Jong-un, Trump, and I'm asking, the CIA says he's stupid. No, Trump says he's smart. He's very smart. And then he says, I asked, why do you say this? The CIA says he's stupid. And then, I mean, if you hear the audio of this, it's just like Trump is saying, only I know. Now, I've done work on 10 presidents going back to Nixon and never heard any kind of notion that a president is going to say, only I know. You've got to listen to other people. Yeah, you can decide, you're the chief decider, but you can't tune out the understanding that other people have, whether they're experts, whether they're advisors. Tragic. This is a tragic story, and Trump's on the ballot now in the upcoming elections, though his name is not there.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned the ballot and the choice people face, and people will make up their own minds. My final question for you, Bob, is you keep doing this work, and many journalists know you to be also a generous figure in this field that's evolving with new mediums, digital, internet. You're out here doing the interviews, doing the work, publishing it. Do you still have the confidence that the facts and journalism can matter, can be a steward of democracy? Do you worry that we are entering truly a post-fact environment that makes the next Watergate harder to deal with because half or more of the country won't see the facts of it? I give you the floor for your final thought.
Well, my thought is I think we just have to keep working. We're on the sidelines. We're presenting credible evidence. And in this case, it's Trump's own voice saying all of these things. And I like being on the sidelines. I think it's important. I think it tells people things. And I've had a lot of people listen to this audio book and say, even if you're a Trump supporter, you may say there is a level of the defiant president, and the defiance is against reality, against facts, and against the interests of the people, which, when I asked him, what's the job of the president? He said to protect the people, and he failed. He did not include the people, and very sad.
Hey, I'm Ari Melber. Thanks for watching The Beat. I wanted to let you know I'm writing a foreword to the January 6th committee's full report, which is coming out soon from HarperCollins. You can go pre-order the book right now, and it'll come to you first when the report comes out in the fall or whenever the government releases it. Just search Melber Jan 6 on Amazon or your favorite independent book site and click pre-order. You'll be the first to get both the report and my new piece on the coup conspiracy. You can also go to melberbook.com and order it there.